and then we will continue our new topic for this week. So please join with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav b'tzivanu al sfirat haomer. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who sanctifies us with mitzvot and commands us in the counting of the Omer. And we announced the day of the Omer, first in Hebrew. Hayom Shivash Ushoshim Yom Shehem Chamisha Shavuot Ushne Yamim La Omer, which means that today is the 37th day, which corresponds to 5 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. So this week we are thinking about our relationship with animals, and I want to share a story that comes from a text called the Alphabet of Ben Sirah. And this text is thought to be dated, I believe, somewhere between 700 and 1000 CE, which is quite a range. And this specific piece that I'm going to read, this story, has the flavor of like a midrash. It's like a midrash on a question that we'll talk about later. And then, so it in theory was written around the same time as midrashim were written. So not a huge surprise. All right. So this story is called King David and the Spider. And again, it comes from the Alphabet of Ben Sirah. One day, long before he became king, the young David was sitting in his garden when he saw a wasp eating a spider. And David said, God, what good are these creatures? The wasp just eats the honey, and the spider spins all year but produces no cloth. And God said to David, David, don't look down on my creatures. There will come a time when you will need them. Soon after, there came a time when King Saul thought that David was rebelling against him. And the king chased David, who hid in a cave. God sent a spider that spun a web across the opening of the cave. And when King Saul got there, he said, look, no one entered here, for the spider's web is not torn. Let's go search for David elsewhere. When David emerged from the cave and saw the spider, he sang the praises of the Master of the universe, saying, God, who can tell of your great deeds? For all your creations are good. So to me, this is sort of in the theme of, I couldn't tell you any of them specifically offhand, but I remember as a kid reading all sorts of different folk tales from different traditions of like why the sun comes up at day and the moon comes up at night, or why mosquitoes buzz in your ears, those kinds of things. Like, so why, I guess, what is the purpose of a spider? And I guess the larger question that it's answering is we say in our prayers, we praise God for in Yotzer Or, for all of God's creation, and that includes all the animals, and in the Genesis story goes through everything that God creates, and everything that God creates is good. And so in the story, sort of asking the question, like, is everything good? Because I don't know about you. There are plenty of people who have at least one animal that they don't particularly like. I happen to live with someone who doesn't like spiders. I know that spiders get a lot of people. And wasps also. I don't know a lot of people who walk around saying, oh, I love wasps. But on the one hand, this story, I like the idea that the framework that everything has a purpose, and we should not think so much of ourselves to think that we can possibly understand it all. What I don't like about this story is the idea that everything has a purpose, in the sense that, like, it's for the good of the humans. Like, oh, don't worry, David, you'll find out why spiders are important to have, because the spider is going to save you. And like, certainly there are reasons why spiders are important to the fabric of our universe that have nothing to do with saving King David or the future King David, so that's a little human centric. But putting that aside, I I like I like what the sort of the bigger picture idea that um and what this speaks to is that when we say our blessings, when we say Yotzer Or, praising God for the creation of all things, we say that acknowledging that we can't fully understand the importance of all the things, but we can affirm that we believe that there is a reason that they exist and there is a reason why they are good and important. And I know that science has come a long way. Like there's so many things that scientists and biologists, whatever, all the different fields that study animals and the environment have learned, and we can see how human behavior is really impacting um, animal like sort of life cycles and the way animals lives and migration and all that kind of stuff. We can see sort of the impact that we're having on different ecosystems. Um, but I'm guessing that there's still a lot we don't know. Like, we sort of sometimes forget that we think we know a lot, but we can look back on future generations and be like, oh, they didn't even know this. But who knows in 2100 what they're going to know that we didn't know. Um, and so I like the humility that comes along with this story and that comes along with saying the Yotze Or blessing in the morning. Um, and just remembering that all animals are part of God's creation. And if you are one of those people that potentially does not love spiders, or pick your poison, whatever the animal is, uh, maybe next time you come across it, instead of deciding to try to squish it and kill it, maybe reminding yourself of this story, reminding yourself of that Yotzer Or prayer, and finding a way to maybe remove it from your your immediate surroundings, letting it continue on to thrive and do what it's meant to do in this world. So, um, that's like a daily struggle in our house. I'm sure it is for other people as well. Uh, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and love to hear what animals you struggle with, maybe what animals you love. And I will see you all.